Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Scene on Screen with Ned Halaby. Once again, I have Stuart Friedel here co-hosting with me. We got a great show for you today. It'll be, actually, let's talk about some news that's happened in the Claremont Television universe, especially this past week. Claremont Television will now exist, for pretty much all intents and purposes, online at ClaremontTelevision.com. That's two T's, ClaremontTelevision.com.
We actually bought the 1T domain as well this week. So
even if you mistype it once, you're still going to be able to get there. Not only are you going to be able to find Scene on Screen there, you're going to find a whole slew of other Claremont student work. And you yourself can submit work. Please do to ClaremontTelevision.com. And this will free up copyright issues for us. And you can just you can post it yourself. Basically, it's our site, as in our site, not our site, but Claremont College site, and it's pretty important stuff. So you guys can find us there.
Also, to make some money for the, programs, people involved, and to get the word out, we are selling T-shirts online right now. Pre-order them for $10 a piece. They are American Apparel neon pink shirts with Lionel Richie.
Who would not want that? I tell you not. There's
$10.
You can't get more stylish than that.
Exactly. Log on the
Ladies
website.
love it. Girls adore it. Even though, never mind. We have the second part of I Wish I Were an Oscar Voting Wiener segment of the show. It's the recap. Because the Oscars happened. They were. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a classic broadcast by any chance, but the strength of the nominees was better this year than, say, in years where Crash or A Beautiful Mind would take home Best Picture.
Jon Stewart is also a fantastic host. I really like him.
Considering they were working with such a truncated timetable, I would say the writing was decent. It wasn't hilarious. I never peed myself, but
Close.
It's what you can ask for. I almost pooped myself once.
I did.
Great. But the most important thing, or most important award, Best Picture, went to No Country for Old Men, a film that I thought deserved it.
I agree.
I wanted to see. I was very torn in between There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men, and I think they deservedly won it. I think it was good. A good choice.
Yeah. As for which is the better film, I give the slight edge to No Country for Old Men. Which one I prefer, which one I enjoy more, I give the major edge to No Country for Old Men.
Okay. I've said it before, but while I was watching No Country for Old Men, I was very aware of how much I was enjoying the film, and it took me a little bit more reflection to think about how I felt about There Will Be Blood. It's a movie that's less immediately enjoyable in the sense that it's very slow moving. And a lot of the themes about America and history and stuff like that take a little bit of thinking to sort of appreciate. That's probably what gave their No Country for Old Men the edge in the Oscar race. Sort of got the less attention spanny people.
And you know what? There Will Be Blood was a fantastic, fantastic movie. No Country for Old Men was a flawless movie.
I'll agree with that. It cleaned up. It cleaned up at the Oscars. We have Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor for Javier Bardem, which I guarantee he got maybe 80% of the vote. I can't promise that, but gosh darn it, he was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Haunting.
Unbelievable.
But let's look at some of the other races. Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood.
It's pretty obvious.
He was going to win with it. Several of the other nominees had already conceded the victory to him earlier in the week, which, he was just fantastic. Marion Cotillard for the Vie en Rose. I would say that's a surprise. I thought it was very wide open. Best Actress field, very wide open.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been not surprised by any of these people. I am really glad Ellen Page did not win.
Thank you. We'll get to Juno later because I know we both have a lot of things to say about that film. We did Javier Bardem. Tilda Swinton, I think, was a big surprise for Best Supporting Actress. Not an actress that a lot of people probably recognize from other films. Like she was in Adaptation. She's been in several other films that they're not coming to mind, but I mean, I thought Cate Blanchett was maybe the favorite in that category, but didn't happen. Do you see Michael Clayton?
Didn't. I would like to.
I would like to as well. Coen brothers taking it home for directing. They get 3 Oscars last night to go at the Oscars, and to go with the one they have from Fargo for screenplay. Their house is gonna get full of trophies. Like,
they don't live together.
Well,
they have separate apartments in New York.
I like to think that they live together.
They live very close to each other, I understand.
Oh, okay. Maybe across the street. Maybe an adjoining apartment somewhere. That seems like a cool sitcom. There'd probably be dark and dreary things happening there.
They could be the Coen brothers live in the apartment next door to Charles Barkley and Dwayne Wade. That
would be hilarious.
That'd be a good sitcom. I would like to say,
maybe the Wayans brothers could come in for his little comic relief.
Touche. I personally think that Coens deserved all 3 of them, but I think that Paul Thomas Anderson deserved one of the 3. Not Best Picture. Best Directing, you know what, could have gone either way. Best Adapted Screenplay could have gone either way, but he did get a little bit snubbed by getting none of them.
I completely agree. I wanted to see There Will Be Blood take home one of the major prizes, one of the non-acting prizes.
Right.
I got Best Cinematography, which I thought was a big. The race of the night for me was the cinematography this year. Mm-hmm. I'm glad. The Bourne Ultimatum pulled off 3 Oscars, which.
You know what though? It wasn't. It gets flack, I guess, because it's an action movie. But like, keep in mind when the first Bourne movie came out, everybody loved it. Everybody admitted it was one of the best action movies in a long time. The second one kind of soiled his name a little bit. The third one, I would say, is the best of the 3. So
I think I would agree. I enjoyed the third one more than the other 2, actually. The first one I was a little bit bored by. The second one I was just confused by. I had no idea what was going on for most of the plot, and the third one was actually pretty enjoyable. But let's get to the complaining segment. Juno, which we all knew was a foregone conclusion of foregone conclusions. Juno picked up the Best Original Screenplay Oscar. And a night where, an angel lost its wings, I think. Or maybe a whole lot of angels lost their wings. The world, it's never going to be the same.
For a former stripper, Diablo Cody went very far out of her way to be sure she didn't flash the camera with her dress that had a slit all the way up the front of it.
That's true. I noticed a little crotch cover.
Repeatedly, she seemed so nervous. And did you? I just lost my train of thought with that one.
Juno.
No, I got that. Diablo
Cody,
going out of her. Oh, did you hear about her shoes?
No, I did not hear about her shoes.
She wore a $1 million pair of shoes on the red carpet, and then switched into an almost as expensive pair once she got into the.
She's that indie. It's exactly. So ironic for an indie filmmaker to be wearing $1 million pair of shoes that it becomes indie.
There you go. Diablo Cody.
Folds back in on itself. But we've already complained enough about Juno this show. You can catch last week's episode where we just bashed Juno, and I'm not gonna say I hated it. I just don't think it was worth an Academy Award for anything. It was a cute little love story, and with the most obnoxious dialogue in the entire world. But yeah, that is the Oscars. We're gonna have to wait a whole nother year. Do you think there's any early Oscar picks for that you're hearing about for next year?
Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, Best of Both Worlds 3D concert.
That's true. I think Alba is gonna get a nod for The Eye. I think
Semi-Pro, Best Screenplay.
Best Screenplay, probably. 27 Dresses, that's going to get a Best
everything.
Actress
I don't know why I even jumped to the conclusion with Semi-Pro. I forgot about 27 Dresses already.
Yeah, there's definitely going to get some cinematography. And maybe Best Costume Design, 27 Dresses Costume Design. Ba-doom.
You're a comedian. You.
But I don't think we have anything else to add about the Oscars. Well done, Jon Stewart, for pulling off what could have been the lousy Oscars. I liked some of the jokes he was making. And we will be right back after this quick break. We have a new co-host making his screen-on-screen debut. His name is Steve Mears. He's a Pomona student, and I'm really looking forward to talking with him and about him when he leaves. So stay tuned, and you'll see right after this. Thanks. Welcome back to the next segment of Scene on Screen with Ned Halaby. Joining me right now is Steve Mears, Pomona Senior. Junior. Wow, impressive. He is joining me today to talk about noir films, specifically The Third Man, which was directed by Carol Reed in 1949 and stars Joseph Cotton, Orson Welles, Alida Valli, and Trevor Howard. The Third Man is a story about a man named Holly Martins who arrives in post-World War II Vienna looking for his long-lost best friend named Harry Lime, who is Orson Welles' character, who supposedly has a job for him. And when he gets there, he finds out that Harry Lime is dead, and he sets out to sort of uncover the mystery behind his death or murder that he suspects, and ends up falling in love with Harry's, ex-girlfriend. And a whole lot of international intrigue ensues after he arrives. But the important thing to keep in mind is that the setting of post-World War II Vienna was divided into 3 sections: the French section, the English section, and the Russian section. And the sort of politics of navigating between the places plays a large role in the film. And this is one of Steve's favorite films of all time. He named it his second all-time favorite film, right?
After Casablanca.
After Casablanca. Those are 2 good ones. What did you like about the film?
Well, I think besides just being a superlative example of storytelling on film, what makes it stand apart from almost any other film ever made, and certainly films being made at the time, was how every aspect of the composition calls attention to itself. Kind of the prevailing wisdom in Hollywood in the 40s was that the camera should be invisible. Camera placement should be indiscernible, shots should be indistinguishable, the music score should advance the story while remaining as unobtrusive as possible. But in The Third Man, it dramatically violates all of the do's and don'ts. You get what are called Dutch angles, which are extreme camera tilts, which creates the effect that you are lying on the ground staring up at the characters or staring down at them from the rafters, and this is extremely unsettling. The music, the central instrument of the score is the zither, which is among the more bizarre and noticeable stringed instruments in existence, and so every time you hear it, you notice it. So it's like, and I would compare it to something like There Will Be Blood and a couple of modern films, in that there's kind of a jockeying for power between the actors, the dialogue, the cinematography, and the music, as to which will arrest the viewer's attention. And I think that creates an incredible and unique effect.
I think what you said about the score is very true. It was by a man named Karras, like Anton Karras. And it sort of seems at first sort of out of place within the world of the film. It's sort of like a very haunting, but sort of it almost sounds more upbeat than it should be for the subject matter of the film. But as it goes on, it really becomes a hallmark part of the film, and something that makes it very unique. And its noirness is sort of, encapsulated by a lot of what you were talking about, the camera angles, the lighting. It won the Oscar for Best Cinematography in 1949.
Yeah.
And it's really one of the most beautifully shot black and white films that I've ever seen.
Me too.
Especially, one of the characteristics of noir is the use of shadow and extreme contrast between light and dark. And it makes use of a sewer, which I think is a very good way to...
One of the great chase scenes in cinema.
That's the climax of the film, happens underneath the streets of Vienna, and it's a heart-pounding, and it's just beautifully shot. Everything from the faraway man running through the little tunnels into the light and into the dark and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool use of lighting there.
Well, you mentioned noir. I would say that probably the 2 hallmarks that define noir are pessimism and that noir exists in a world of night. It's always night in film noir. And that really goes with this particular story, which kind of exemplifies this mood of post-war disillusionment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's set 4 years after the end of World War II. The mindset is the world's been decimated, the good have died, their ideals have died with them, and amidst all of the destruction, ethics have really become a liability.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie, reflects that in a lot of ways, technical ways and thematic ways.
Yeah, one of the most classic parts of the film is Orson Welles. He's not even in the movie very much because he's assumed to be dead for most of it.
Yeah.
But he gives a speech about the difference between Italy and Switzerland,
Yeah.
and how Italy has been ravaged by war and religious and political upheaval for hundreds of years, and they've created some of the greatest and most long-lasting inventions.
The Renaissance,
Da Vinci and stuff like that. And Switzerland has had democracy and peace for 400 years, and their greatest invention is the cuckoo clock.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, the sort of cynicism that goes with noir and the...
In about 20 seconds, Harry Lime sums up his existential philosophy. And, it's so persuasive. Just the way he delivers it, it's so concise, and he just hammers home that punchline, the cuckoo clock. So that you actually are of a mind to believe that, he's the devil, but at least, amidst all this chaos and confusion, he knows what he's all about.
Yeah.
And
He's
how
thinking
the devil
straight.
Works.
It's the loss of innocence and the loss of the ideal that Holly Martin's character had about him, because they were best friends in school.
Mm-hmm.
And catching up with him, he refuses to believe the terrible allegations that are made about Harry Lime's character until he meets him and sees what he's become, and sees the man that circumstances have turned him into. And I don't know. It's a fabulous film. And
you mentioned that that Orson Welles, for being the character that dominates the landscape of this movie in your mind, especially the farther away in time you move from your viewing of it, you just think of this as Harry Lime's picture. Wells is in this thing for about 10 minutes, and he only has, I think, one scene where he actually speaks. And the way that they establish that is also a kind of common thread in noir, which is that they keep him off screen for the first hour, but they have characters talk about him in these sort of tantalizingly elliptical ways, which heightens viewer anticipation to a breaking point. So that when he's finally introduced in one of the great entrances in movies...
That was one of the best entrances I think I've ever seen.
Me too.
You just
on
with
the
that
edge of your
smirk
seat.
of Orson Welles in the light. It's the cat meows and he turns around and the woman opens the windows and the light flushes over Orson Welles' face.
Yeah,
and
which
it's
is
so
just a
well
sly
done.
grin.
The sly grin, the smirk of Orson Welles. It's a fabulous scene. It's really striking.
Spielberg used that technique in Jaws too, which is not a noir, but you don't see the shark for the first hour, so that when you finally do, you're ready.
What modern films would you compare something like the Third Man to?
Well, let me see. Okay, so the modern noirs would be L.A. Confidential, Brick, especially with regard to the dialogue, a very kind of a little bit self-conscious.
I think I'm very self-conscious dialogue.
Yes, well, in Brick,
the
for
bulls,
sure. Yeah. Chinatown, maybe, because it's got, at its black heart, it has the character of Noah Cross, played by John Huston, who just represents utter seductive depravity, and who was the inspiration for Daniel Day-Lewis's performance in There Will Be Blood.
I did not know that. Very cool.
Listen to the voice,
I can see it. I can see it.
So that's California tycoon.
That's all the time we have for this segment of Seen on Screen. The Third Man is available on VHS at the Stonehill Library on Pomona's campus. You should definitely check it out, and or see it in whatever means you have. But we'll be right back after this for Ned's pick of the week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Steve. You were great.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the third and final segment of Seen on Screen. This week's Ned's pick is Brick, a 2006 feature directed and written by Ryan Johnson, featuring the lead performance of Joseph Gordon-Levitt of 10 Things I Hate About You fame, as well as Third Rock from the Sun. other numerically themed movies. Brick is, I mean, it's a very original creation, I think, especially for this day and age. It is a noir film, like a noir this genre pick, I guess. It's sort of Rian Johnson's homage to the noir genre, and it incorporates a lot of themes that you'll find in classic Orson Welles and Humphrey Bogart movies, such as a sort of detective type, film with the femme fatale and the chiaroscuro lighting effects and stuff like that. And it's really, it might not be for everybody. It's like Steve mentioned earlier, more self-conscious film, especially in terms of dialogue. They use a lot of archaic slang, terms from the 40s and stuff like that. And some people can consider that a weakness of the film or slightly annoying. I think it's great. I think it was brilliantly handled and written, and I really recommend it to you. And it's available, hopefully somewhere in a theater or a movie store near you, possibly Cinema Paradiso.
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix, always the best option for that kind of stuff. And Stu is actually a friend of Rian Johnson,
Really?
and has spent many a nights with him. He says it's not true. He's humble.
I think he was the inspiration for the pin, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. If you check it out. You'll see the similarities between Stu and the Pin's character. But it's got intrigue, high school love and lust, and all sorts of great themes that I experienced in high school. I don't know what your high school experience was like, but it's shockingly similar to my high school experience. Brick was. But yeah, did you enjoy it?
High school is a noir world.
High school is a noir world. Oh gosh, especially public school. But that is all the time we have for this week's edition of Seen on Screen. Please check us out. Well, I guess if you are checking us out, you are already on ClaremontTelevision.com, but tell your friends. That's ClaremontTelevision.com, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.